Hey guys, Jonathan here, and with Daredevil Born Again out, I thought it would be really fun to walk down memory lane and tell you about the time that I met and worked with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, as well as many other cast members from Daredevil. So let's get into it. This happened in 2023 at a convention called ICCC, where I actually worked with the cast in the photo op room. But in order to get the full context, we actually have to go back several years to 2017, when I first met my friend, who I've known all this time, Jeffrey Cantor, who you guys will remember as Ellison on Daredevil. So Jeffrey and I met in New York City. We connected on Facebook through some mutual friends, and the next time I was in New York, I dropped Jeff a line. We hung out, and he's been like an older brother to me ever since. We got to talk about Daredevil and all his work in the Netflix Marvel Universe at the time. And long story short, ICCC, which is the convention that takes place here in Nashville every year, the organizer, Michael Havens, I had recommended to have Jeffrey there as a guest. And of course, it ended up working out. So Jeffrey had been a guest here for several years. And as the convention grew and expanded, the convention actually brought in the cast of Daredevil in 2023, which was really cool to see everybody in a room together, especially because at that time, we didn't really know what was going on with Daredevil. Was it coming back? Was it in the MCU? Really, at that point, it was more in the phase of Daredevil was canceled and never coming back to the MCU, so it was really, really fun to, wonder what the future of the show would be. Of course, by this time, we had already seen Matt Murdock again in Spider-Man No Way Home, and I think She-Hulk was coming out, but it hadn't come out yet, but I think we knew Daredevil was going to be back in it. Anyways, just putting you on the map for where everything happened. So as we were able to have more guests at the convention, we also had Royce Johnson, who you'll remember was Detective Mahoney on Daredevil, who's also a great friend of mine, and it's really cool to have met these people, because Royce and I had texted and talked, but we had never met in person until 2023. I had made Purist custom Lego figures of Jeff and Royce's characters on Daredevil and sent them to them, so that's how I got to know them. Anyways, that being said, the ICCC convention is how I actually got to not only meet all of them, but got to work with them as well, because I had volunteered in the photo op room, and long story short, I ended up taking over managing the photo op room for several years. This was actually the final year that I did it, just as life has expanded and MiniSuperHeroes Today has expanded, my businesses, I just don't have the time to be able to dedicate to it, but for several years there where I did manage the photo op room, it was super, super awesome. In fact, this particular year I worked, I should say, I got to hire my mom and dad. So my mom helped assist with moving people through line, and my dad is a professional photographer, so he was able to shoot the photos while I managed the room, and a friend of mine, Brody, who you've seen on the channel, helped us with all the photo printing. So we had a great team put together, and it was super awesome. Speaking of teams, we also had Deborah Ann Wall there, of course, Miss Karen Page from the MCU, and she was super, super cool. It was awesome to meet her, and of course, I'm building up to working with Charlie and Vincent. Now, of course, they are the headliners of the Daredevil show, so you can't get anybody bigger than them. But before that, I have to show you a couple other cool things. We had Emperor Palpatine himself, Ian McDiarmid, there. So I got to meet the Emperor, and it's really cool to hear him talk, because when he talks, he just talks like Chancellor Palpatine. Yes, good, very good. So that's really cool to hear in person. And this convention was where I got connected with John Rhys-Davies, a.k.a. Gimli from Lord of the Rings, as well as Sala from Indiana Jones, which, of course, is my favorite of all his work, but he's been in tons of stuff. He's got a lot of great philosophy videos on YouTube if you really want to dig, but this is where John and I met. A couple weeks later, after this, I would go to his premiere for Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny in Salt Lake City. We raised a bunch of money selling autographed Lego sets there, which was really cool, for charity. That was awesome, and I've gotten to see John several times over the years since then, and he's really kind of like an adoptive uncle to me in a lot of ways. He's just so full of wisdom and such a really cool guy, and that happened here. But the reason you guys clicked on this video was for Charlie and Vincent. So as we were managing the photo op room, I was able to get photos with them real quick on the way in and the way out, so they were really cool. Of course, Charlie has a British accent, so you know, he doesn't really sound like Matt Murdock when you just talk to him, but Vincent did say, "This city," for me, and he did a little Kingpin speech and monologue, but they were both really, really awesome. Vincent was surprisingly quiet. He didn't really have a ton to say, but it was very, very cool that he did a little Kingpin monologue for me, which was awesome. And on top of that, they were super, super kind to also sign some autographs for me, and I got them to add some quotes. So for Vincent, I got him to add, "I am the ill intent," from the finale of Daredevil Season 1, which was super, super cool. Love this photo of him with all his white suits. And for Charlie, I got his signature on the Daredevil shot from the finale of Season 1 as well, and I got him to add, "I'm a really good lawyer," as well. So it was so cool to meet, hang out, and work with the Daredevil cast. Everybody was so incredibly awesome, and it was really a weekend I will never, ever forget. So in some ways, it is sad that I don't do that anymore. I wish I had the time to do it, but got too much Lego stuff going on, got too much craziness, and those days were really, really fun. I miss them, but yeah, so let me know if you have ever met anybody from the MCU. I did tell the story about the time I met Jeff Goldblum and gave him a Lego Grandmaster minifigure. That was really cool. Trying to think who else I've met. That's the only story I think I've told on the channel. I told the story of when I met Stan Lee. That was cool. I have met Chris Evans. I met him at a Comic-Con in 2016. Him and Chris Hemsworth at the same time. In fact, that would be a good story to tell, but maybe on another day. But who else have I met from the MCU? Paul Rudd. I've met Paul Rudd. I've met Evangeline Lilly. Yeah, those are the main ones that are coming to mind off the top of my head. I've met Kevin Feige twice. Once at the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania premiere, and once at the Ant-Man and the Wasp premiere. So that was pretty cool. I've met David Hasselhoff. So, yeah, I met Chris Pratt in Nashville one time. Okay, I'll tell the Chris Pratt in Nashville story. So, a friend of mine told me that they saw Chris Pratt in this one particular neighborhood that I actually kind of live by. So, I ended up driving over there. And, of course, I always have Lego minifigs with me in the car and on me. So, I had a Star-Lord minifig. So I go for a little walk in this neighborhood where they said they saw Chris Pratt, and holy smokes, Batman, there he was. He was standing on a street corner with his then wife, Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter. And anyways, he was standing there going, "Wah, wabba, ha," and making like karate noises as he was standing there. So that was really funny. So I crossed the street and went over and said, "Hi, Chris, nice to meet you." And he goes, "Oh, hey, man, how are you?" And he like couldn't have been nicer. And I said, "Hey, would it be cool to get a quick pic?" And he goes, "Oh, man," he goes, "I would love to take a picture, but she would kill me," pointing at his wife. And he said, "We're actually here on our honeymoon. It's kind of like a, you know, secret getaway thing. And, you know, if I take a selfie and it gets out there, I just don't really want people to know that we're here. We're kind of on off mode on vacation, you know?" And I said, "Yeah, that's totally cool, man. I totally get that." And I said, "Actually," and I had a Star-Lord figure in my pocket with, I always have bricks on me too. I said, "Here, I'd love to give you this. I worked, you know, making Lego stuff," and I wasn't in LAN at the time, so I didn't say anything about that. But I said, "You know, I would love for you to have this." And he goes, "What, dude, this is awesome, but I can't take this. This is yours." And I said, "Please, if you knew how many of those I have, I would love for you to take it." And he goes, "Oh, that's so cool." So an Uber pulled up. Just at that time, it was like a big van, like one of those Uber black cars, and they opened the door, and he got his wife in first, and then as he got into the van, he took the Star-Lord figure and was going, "Ew," and then he got in the van, and they drove off, and that was the end of it. So, anyways, there you go. You got the Daredevil cast meeting, and you got the time I met Star-Lord, too. Wow, so much fun. But anyways, it's so great as I'm in my 10th anniversary year here as a content creator to go back and tell you all these crazy stories. So let me know what you thought. Let me know if you've ever met anybody from Marvel, and I'll see you on the next video.